The LCS has a big problem in the top lane, but don't panic, North American fans. Help is on the way. Before the World Championships started, we did an episode of Run It that compared playstyles across different regions. One of the key findings was how little priority North American teams put on playing through the top lane, and their poor ability to do so when they tried. We looked at the differences in champion pool for the LCS top lane compared to the LPL and LCK especially, with a heavy use of Shen and very little Renekton as examples. Aside from TSM and Broken Blade, we didn't really see LCS teams finding much success with allocating resources into their top lanes in 2020. Players like Someday and Huni and Licorice were skilled enough to carry games, but they couldn't really do it consistently, either because their teams weren't very good at executing topside strategies, or the top laners themselves weren't consistent enough, or because there were weaknesses in other parts of the roster. In the LCS Summer Playoffs, teams that won their top lane matchups and allocated more farm into their top laners in the mid and late game failed to make deep runs. Someday and Huni stand out here, while Impact is the purest example of the low-resource top lane approach. Even Broken Blade picked up way less of his team's mid and late game farm than you might expect, partly because TSM played through bot lane for the first half of playoffs before fixing their approach and playing through him instead, and partly because even when TSM played through a strong top lane, Broken Blade wasn't all that efficient with his map play later on and spent too much time grouping instead of pressuring side lanes. When the LCS teams got to Worlds, it wasn't surprising that their top laners struggled to keep up against competition that was more skilled, more lane dominant, and more effective at playing through that part of the map. Chinese teams stood out in particular. Suning, Top Esports, and JD Gaming got huge value from Bin, Zoom, and 369 with high CS shares. Meanwhile, Broken Blade, Solo, and Impact were working with tight budgets. Nugget is sort of the exception that proves the rule. He had the second best laning stats of any top laner, but often allowed Canyon and Ghost to soak up farm instead. He had the most stylistic diversity of any top laner at Worlds, mostly splitting time between Kennen and Ornn, but also playing Lulu and Sett twice each, along with single picks on Camille and Fiora for flavor. The point is that Nuguri is a great carry, but he didn't have to carry. He was equally effective on tanks, split pushers, or pure supports. That's the kind of strategic flexibility that most North American teams have lacked from their top lane, including all 3 LCS teams that attended Worlds. As a league, the LCS needs to fix the top lane issue for 2021. Thankfully, the early signs suggest that this is exactly what's happening. According to an ESPN report, Team Liquid are importing Alphari to replace Impact, and Cloud9 have confirmed that they're promoting Fudge and making Licorice available in the trading block. Alphari will instantly compete with Someday for the title of best top laner in the LCS. He had the strongest laning stats of any LEC top laner in the summer regular season, and the second highest kill participation and CS share post 15 minutes. He played a super diverse champion pool with Aatrox, Renekton, Camille, Kennen, Gangplank, even Malphite and Kayle. That's the kind of skill and flexibility the LCS has had a hard time finding in the top lane.
Behind you and zips everyone forwards.
I mean, Alphari literally just landed a powder keg on Wonder's face.
Cloud9's move to promote Fudge might not carry as much hype as a star import like Alphari, but don't sleep on this guy. He was the unofficial MVP of LCS Academy this summer and served as the focal point of his team, with high kill participation and CS share of his own. His gold plus experience difference at 10 was only 4th among Academy top laners in the regular season, but that's partly because of how heavily he was targeted by bans and jungle pathing. I believe Fudge will be able to compete with LCS top laners in lane, and he loves to carry.
Diving after Palafox and flash behind his teammates. Storm bringing it in for Winston as he goes back into the fight, but Dokla low. The AoE damage is a little too much as a Vladimir looking to play cleanup on the fight as Fudge.
These moves from 2 of the strongest organizations in North America are bringing increased skill into the LCS top lane talent pool, since Licorice and Impact are very likely to land somewhere else in the league. That should help shift the North American playstyle into more balance, as long as the coaches recognize and seize on the opportunity which has been placed in front of them, which I'm sure they will because they're intelligent enough, like you, to watch Run It.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, feel free to check out my sponsor, Alienware. There's a link in the description below. You can use code Travis10OffQ3, or maybe, if that doesn't work, try Travis10OffQ4. We're switching it up to save 10% off your order. Maybe get an amazing computer like this one, which has an NVIDIA 3080 in it. And while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. We love you. Bye.